This is another episode of Stand-Up Comedy, your host and MC, celebrating 40-plus years on the fringe of show business. Stories, interviews, and comedy sets from the famous and not so famous. Here's your host and MC, Scott Edwards.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Hey, we're in the middle of kind of a special podcast series. My ex-partner, Bob Stobner, his little sister, Lynn Stobner, who was also one of my key employees back in the 80s with my chain of comedy clubs, and I had gotten together with a box of nostalgia, and we were sharing stories and going through stuff. And last week we heard the first 45 minutes or so of the conversation. Again, it's a little self-serving and nostalgic, lots of memories, but I think it's also interesting. So bear with us, enjoy it. And here we go. Oh, and by the way, Bob's supposed to be the host of the show. So here's your host, Bob Stobner.
How about Tom Hanks? Can we talk about the Tom Hanks story?
Oh, that's one of my favorites.
I really love that story because
when you told him he should start thinking of acting.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's that. Everybody knows that story.
So I'll lay the groundwork, and then you can tell your side. So, ladies and gentlemen, picture again, real early 1980.
1980. Yeah.
Bob Saget was the headliner. He was
Everything goes back to Bob Saget.
He was really a great connection for us, a special man. And he was so helpful in helping me get the club going and teaching me everything I needed to do. Him, Dave Coulier.
And what did you do? You walked on stage during a set and said, "We have someone much fun."
Yeah, that's right. That's the thanks I get.
All right. So Saget's working, and he's booked as a headliner, and he calls me up and he goes, "Hey, I've got this young actor that has to do some comedy on a show. Can I bring him up to the club for the weekend?" I was like, "Well, sure, anything for you, Bob." You know, Bob and I were very tight back then. And I said, "Anything you want." So I didn't know who it was, and I wasn't even that aware of the show at the time. But he shows up on like a Thursday night with Tom Hanks. And Tom Hanks was on the TV show Bosom Buddies, which had just started. And Tom explains that he has to do a comedy set on the show.
I thought it was for the movie.
No, it's actually an episode of the series, and I think in their first season. And,
it's very early on.
And Bob is in the episode.
Yeah, I remember Bob being on the show.
And that's the connection. So
Bob was actually a warm-up comic for the show when, obviously not in the show, but he's a warm-up comic for the studio audience.
For Bosom Buddies, yeah. Yep. Well, anyway, everybody go to the Googler. Bosom Buddies was Tom Hanks' first appearance in TV and movies, and it was his sitcom. He was co-starring with a couple other people, and it was a fairly popular show. I
think
wouldn't
it did
say
2 seasons. I think.
It wasn't huge, but still, it wasn't the Tom Hanks we all know and respect now. It was this young actor, and that happened to have a sitcom. It was still very cool. So I'm showing Tom how to use the mic, where to look so he didn't get blinded by the lights, just some of the technical stuff. But Bob was actually writing material for him and helping him put together this like 3-minute set for the TV show. And Tom worked for free, by the way, that whole weekend. It went on stage like one of the acts, and it was a really interesting and special moment looking back. At the time,
I wonder how many people, audience members, remembered that as they saw him. They probably
I think it was just another comic to them,
right?
Those people that didn't know the show. But
I would introduce him as one of the stars of Bosom Buddies. But as again, the show wasn't huge. It wasn't like Seinfeld or Big Bang Theory. It was just a sitcom.
We didn't advertise it or anything. It was just an extra.
Oh yeah, we didn't know. Yeah, he wasn't in any of the advertising or promotion. But he and Saget did some great improv.
Yeah, they did some great improv. I do remember that. We have some pictures of that actually.
We do.
Yeah, we found some pictures.
I would like to see those, or are they on?
Somewhere they found a dummy, and they were the three of Tom, Bob, and this dummy did this whole skit. It was weird.
You shouldn't
really
talk
weird,
about yourself that way.
No. Be more positive, Scott.
Yeah.
So Tom went to college up at Sac State. So
Yeah,
he's
not
Davis.
Davis.
and his wife, I think, is at the time, his first wife is from the area. I remember going back to the Comedy Condo that weekend as well. We had an after hours little gathering, and his baby, I think it was Colin. Colin Hanks was his son, and he's just crawling around.
Tom
or he's like 1 or 2
Sacramento,
years old.
and Tower Records was born in Sacramento, and Colin Hanks did the documentary.
Isn't that weird?
Oh, it's a small world,
It
people.
is a small world. Well, anyway, but that was a fun weekend, though.
Yeah, and to be able to say that Tom Hanks worked our stage and actually learned about stand-up comedy with Bob Saget on our little club. And this was the very first room when it was a banquet room at the Delta Queen restaurant that we had converted into a comedy club. It only sat maybe 100 people, something like that. And of course, when he was there, we were still brand new. So there was rarely a sold out audience in those days. It was all a learning experience. But speaking of those after hour parties, which you've alluded to a couple times, which was really one of the great things we want to share with the audience, is that it was so much fun owning a chain of comedy clubs and working with these people. But remember, it was a job. So a lot of what we were doing was business. But then we would be able to have fun. And a lot of that was the after hour events. Yeah. And one of the ones I love to share, it was like a Thursday night. You guys may have a different memory, but this is the way I tell the story. It was after the show, and we're all having cocktails in a hot tub at the condo, and with Dana Carvey.
See, I swear that was at Jill and myself, our apartment. My on in the Thomas.
So as it's my podcast, well, Lynn could tell her side, but I tell the story that we're sitting having drinks in this hot tub. This is the way I remember it. And Dana's kind of excited and nervous at the same time and says, Scott, and he was real new. I mean, he'd been working for us for a couple of years, but he wasn't known. And he goes, I just had a call from Lorne Michaels, and they want me in New York on Monday to try out for the Saturday Night Live. And I go, wow, that's exciting. And he goes, yeah, but, am I ready? And I don't know what I'm going to do. So it was kind of one of those moments to share with who ended up being a huge star doing the Church Lady. And
because I remember he discussed that.
Franz.
I'm thinking of doing the Church Lady.
Yeah, and he shared his conversation with Lorne Michaels, and it was just a cool moment at one of those post-show deals. Yeah. Now, for me, it's always been a apartment hot tub having cocktails. How do you remember it, Lynn?
Exactly the same, except for it was at Jill and my apartment. That's not grammar.
Other than the rest of this, but the cool thing about that story.
Well, and I slept with him.
Oh, yeah, left that part out. It's a great story because you get to see the actual moment when they go to the next level. And because Dana had everything he needed. He was already very skilled. He had a lot of great routines. He had the mind for comedy. He's a great performer.
Oh, impressions, music, stand-up. He did it all.
Dana didn't really even need Saturday Night Live to make him a better comic than what he was. But yes, I mean, but
it did make him a star.
It did, yeah, it made
which
him
led
a star.
to Wayne's World and so many other things.
Oh, so many other things. I had a similar, not similar story with Dana, but I do remember.
You slept with him?
No. I don't. Let me get back to you on that.
Okay. You just cuddled?
Spoon. I remember, I think I picked him up or I brought him from the condo to the club or something, and it was a Sunday night, or it was a closing night or something like that. And we were just talking, and he said, Bob, I didn't tell you. I know you're going to appreciate this, but I got a chance to hang out with Paul McCartney.
Oh,
Paul McCartney, yeah. You say, Dana? Yes. He was. I got to go to his place or wherever he was staying and stuff, and and Paul McCartney, and he said, "Hello, Dana. How you doing, Dana? Let me play this song for you. I'll tell you." And Dana said that Paul asked him what he thought of the song he was writing. It's like, okay, I'm a Beatles fan, number one anyway, but to here's me talking to a friend of mine, Dana Carvey, who's a performer who had dinner or something with Paul McCartney, who's talking to him about, a song he's writing. It's like, wow, this is cool.
Didn't he say that Dana said that when he was there, he thought of you?
He did say that. He said, I thought of Bob. That was so cool.
For the audience, we should explain that Bob Saget has to be one of the biggest Beatles fans ever. He has a huge collection and some great memorabilia. But Dana and Bob often talked about the Beatles, and Dana was a lot of people don't know, is a terrific musician. Got started off doing music with his brother's band, and branched into comedy, and then had comedy music, and then impressions, and then a stand-up. Very, very talented guy. But we were just talking about 7 stages of separation. That's like 2 from Paul McCartney.
It's 6 and it's bacon.
Sorry, audience. 6 stages of bacon, and in this case, you were just 2 bacons away from Paul McCartney.
I guess you could put it that way. That's true.
I think it was more of a pork sausage.
Yeah.
Well, but that's still exciting that we've had a chance to interact with those people. In fact, speaking of knowing somebody that knows somebody and having a special moment.
Yep.
So we had one of my father's favorite comics was Pat Paulson.
Can I say something real quick? Because I'm going to lose it. And this is nothing. This is just nothing. But I think you should write a book and the title should be Everything Happens on Sundays.
Oh,
because all our stories.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first.
Be on Amazon's #1 list before you know it.
So back to the story.
ChatGPT. Write me a book.
So my father's favorite comic was Pat Paulson, who was a regular on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour, and he always ran for president, was in movies, and a really talented stand-up comic. He was older at this point, and for my father, I booked Pat Paulson, got a chance to introduce him, and they got to hang out, which was really special for me to see. But Pat and I somehow connected and became very good friends. I spent time at his ranch, and he was a regular at the club. And one of these times, he was actually opening for the Smothers Brothers up in Tahoe or Reno. I think it was Reno. And he invited us up. And so we loaded up the car, and Lynn was there, Jill was there. And we went to see the show. We were guests at the show, and then we were invited backstage. And so this is kind of the sidebar of being comedy club producers and owners, is that we got a few perks. And this would be one of those perks that you just can't ever count on. It just happened. And so we're backstage with Pat Paulson, and a famous pianist was at the piano.
The classical gas guy.
Yeah.
Oh, Mason Williams?
Mason Williams was in their room, so he was already famous and kind of cool. So Mason Williams, Pat Paulson.
And a writer on the Smothers Brothers show, too.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, him and Steve Martin and a bunch of other guys.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I thought he was just a musician.
No,
not just.
multi-talented.
Interesting. So you're learning something here, folks. You don't even have to go to the Googler. So we're just hanging out. We're talking with Pat and being introduced to Mason Williams, who was a famous pianist. And in walks Tommy Smothers. And Lynn was sitting on the couch. And Tommy's had to have been in his 50s or 60s, and Lynn, you were probably 20-something, 23 at the time, maybe 22. Right. Tommy sits right next to Lynn, starts telling jokes, starts laughing. We're all introducing to him, and he's a celebrity, so we're kind of in awe. We're invited back. All of a sudden, he grabs Lynn's shoulders, pushes her down on the couch, and gets on top of her and starts yelling, he was making some rude comments.
And we're all getting sexually assaulted.
Yeah. And I'm like nervous going, this is like my little sister. She's being sexually assaulted, and yet it's Tommy Smothers. I'm like hesitating.
You didn't know what
was Pat Paulson doing?
Tommy's got a boner. Tommy's got a boner.
Pat Paulson was no help at all. He's loving it. And so I finally, it took me longer than it should have, so I apologize, Lynn. But seconds later, I went over and I said, hey, Tommy, that's enough of that. Get off of her.
Put that roll of quarters away. And
it was an awkward moment. But now, instead of just hearing the story from me, Lynn is here. Lynn, what was that like for you?
Oh, gee, that was just the best. No, it was uncomfortable, but for some reason, I don't know why, I was thinking...
You thought it was Dickie?
No. Too many jokes with that one.
Yeah.
No, for some reason, I thought, God, my dad liked this guy. Which is so wrong on so many levels.
Actually,
my dad would not have liked him. And why?
No.
And my dad would have been long time past.
So at the moment, you didn't actually feel sexually assaulted.
No, I didn't.
Seemed like a joke.
No, right. It was just like he's trying to be
And by the way,
funny.
everybody was fully clothed, and he was trying to be funny.
It was more just clowning around, but you had no idea who it really was.
It was no big deal. It was not remotely a sexual
right,
thing. But it was more icky, but, it was...
But it was one of those moments where you're like in awe of somebody that you look up to as an entertainer, and at the same time, a little repulsed by the crudeness.
Right.
Even though it was meant to be funny, and he didn't try to grab your breast or anything. It was just him thinking he was being funny, but at the same time, there's always that kind of underlining crudeness.
Right.
That this old man basically was hopping on top of this young woman, and it was it's something I'll never forget because it was so awkward for all of us. Right? It's like if this happened and it wasn't a celebrity and it wasn't a guy 3 times your age, I would have reacted immediately and maybe beat the shit out of him. But under the circumstances,
it was cool.
Even you weren't really sure how to react.
I just wanted to hear classical gas.
Well, and then Tommy yelling, Pat Paulson yelling, Tommy's got a boner. It was such a surreal moment.
Right.
But anyway, so that's the Tommy Smothers of the Smothers Brothers comedy fame.
I was smothered by Tommy Smothers. But I'm dumb.
Smothered. But
certainly a story from its time. I don't think
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't get away with that shit in these days. Remember, folks, this is like in the early 80s.
This was back in the other century.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we're not doing those things anymore. Anyway, let's see what else we got in here.
Yeah, what other...
That magic hat is deep.
Well, it is deep, and we've got to probably close this out because we have other episodes too. Can we just keep it rolling?
No, keep going. Forget it.
Yeah, whatever.
This is just...
It's just fun conversation, and it's
if they're still listening, it's on them.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
your nickel at this, folks.
Hopefully, the audience is having as much fun as we are. It's just memories and sharing stories of a really special, fun time that we had, but all the weird things that you just don't expect. And what does the hat have?
Well, I was just going to drop one more thing about Pat Paulson, and I know that nobody knows.
Drop it like it's hot.
I know nobody. Certainly, no contemporary people know who Pat Paulson was. But
he's passed
in the late '60s on the Smothers Brothers show, which was in and of itself a huge. It was like a Saturday Night Live combined with whatever
Laugh-In,
but it was a
very
counter.
Edgy.
It was very edgy
and a huge show at the time.
For its time, more edgy than Saturday Night Live. Because it was the first real show that took on cultural and political subjects.
Yeah, Tommy was always throwing out stuff, kind of government political stuff that, normally you wouldn't get away with. And because it was a comedy variety show, they pushed that envelope and got away with stuff. They got censored a lot.
I just realized
and
that I was 2 degrees of bacon away from John Lennon.
That's right, because Tommy Smothers played on Give Peace a Chance. Played guitar. But my point...
That's a lot of bacon.
Anyway, it was a big show. To watch those shows now, it seems, what was all the fuss about? But yeah, it was a big deal. And Pat, they ran him for president on the show, which was hilarious. And you can see a lot of great stuff on YouTube from the day. But Pat became a real cultural icon. He was absolutely huge at that era. And then by the time he was working for us, he had been knocked down the pedestal a lot by the time he got to us, but a lot of people still knew him. He ran for governor.
What was the thing that, you guys went and acted like?
Well, we would go and as security people.
But didn't you guys go to the Capitol of Sacramento?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
So I was pretty good at marketing, and we did a big press promotion kind of, there's a title for it, press event, and told all the press that Pat Paulson was going to run for governor and he'd be at the Capitol at a certain time.
Steps of the Capitol.
And what happened?
Yeah, well, and not so much that it happened, but the fact that it happened at all. And it was just such a fun memory. We got limousines. We got, Mac and I believe we got in our suits as Secret Service. And
we even had placards made up and given out in the audience. We had an audience of state workers came out to watch. There's maybe a couple hundred of them. And we gave out placards that said, "Why not Paulson?
Why not Pat?" or something. Yeah, you're right. And it was a very successful event. It made the news. It was a lot of fun.
Huge press event.
But anyway, Pat, 20 years after his big heyday, was still drawing a good crowd And that was good to see because he was a good guy. He was a nice guy.
Yeah. So we set up the podium on the steps of the state of California's Capitol, and he did this whole political speech because he was supposed to be running for governor, but he kind of slipped into back to the '60s running for president thing. It was really hilarious. The audience loved it. The press loved it. We had so much fun. And you got to picture people that were, we had it all staged, but we pull in limousines. You have these guys dressed up like Secret Service and they rush him, to the podium, and he does this big political speech and people are rallying and holding placards. I mean, just envision that moment. It was so amazing. And then we rushed him away in the limos. Like, the press couldn't talk to him. He was way too important. And it was all a facade, and it was so much fun. It was so successful as a press junket thing. And I know Pat really, really had fun doing that because for just that moment, he was reliving what he went through in the 60s.
No, that's funny.
This is kind of off topic a little bit, but what was the relationship between him and the Smothers brothers that they decided to have him run?
Well, they had... Pat Paulson started out in the Bay Area nightclubs. Hungry Eye was a very famous nightclub in the Bay Area. And the Smothers Brothers started there, or was it the Purple Onion? I don't know. It's not like these all are coming back to me. But they all started from the same, geographical entertainment center. And so, they just called them up when they had got the show going, I believe.
Was he a regular on the show?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They were both comics, but they were comic musicians, and they had their buddy, they were brothers. They had their kind of buddy act. And Pat was one of the many writers / performers that was a regular on the show. And I don't know why they picked him to run for president, but it was perfect.
He totally has a look.
Yeah. He has the look, and
everybody go to the Googler.
The double speak,
Pat
political.
Paulson.
Are those shows on YouTube? Or
oh yeah, I've got a few too. Okay. Anyway,
so great story. Thanks for bringing that up.
I've got another thing. You might have to edit this out because I'm not sure 100% on the memory, but I think you brought it up to me recently. It was a comic had a memory of being on our stage and was recording it and heard some sort of negative criticisms he heard us say. Is this recalling anything?
Is this the joke that you guys were?
Yeah. Do you remember?
I have a blank look on my face.
Who's the? Yeah, I do remember, but I can't think of the comic. Who?
Shit. Okay, but you do remember part of it. So there was a comic on stage. This is at the Birdcage Room.
So like Andy Kindler?
It might have been Kindler, but he's on the stage and he was relatively new.
I think it was Andy.
Might have been Kindler. He was relatively new to us. It was like his first night. And Richie, our partner, Rich Giannichini, and I are at the back of the room, and he's recording his set. He's got his little Walkman recorder, and he's recording the set. And Richie and I kind of wink at each other, and we start going, boy, this guy isn't going to make it. This guy.
Into his recorder, right?
Into his recorder. And he knows our voices, so he knows we're saying it. Oh, this guy just sucks. Oh, that was a terrible joke. We're going to have to tell Scott. And I'd forgotten about it. And then 4 decades later, you brought it up and you said something about Andy. I guess let's call it Andy because I'm not 100% who it was. But you said Andy always got a bad vibe about our club because of that tape.
Oh, no, that's not.
No, he loves us.
No.
I know he loves us, but you do love us, right, Andy?
I think you guys told him.
Not that.
Wouldn't he have known it was a joke? I thought we told him it was a joke that same week.
The memory I have is that very recently, like within the last couple of years, that one of you two mentioned to me that he had that bad feeling about us.
Did you?
Okay, I told you might have to edit it out.
When you interviewed him, did he bring that up?
He may have, and I mentioned it
but
to Bob.
I've never.
We should let the audience know Andy Kindler was a comic that worked for us a lot. He went on to some fame and fortune. He was a regular on the Letterman show some 45 times. He was a regular extra act on Everybody Loves Raymond. He's done a lot of stuff, and he has been interviewed on this podcast, so go look for it. And thanks for bringing up such a vague story.
That's a very vague story, but maybe that's where I heard it on this fabulous podcast.
I think that, I pretty sure.
By the way, it was all a gag. We were just...
Of course it was.
And we would mess with the comics. It's so funny because we're paying them. They're all professionals. We didn't use hacks. And yet we messed with them a lot. Like the magician where we would tape down his closing bit. And we'd tape the tablecloth so everything went flying. I mean, that's
everything happens on Sundays. I remember Dave Coulier used to do the thing where he'd drink a big giant glass of water and make like a sprinkler thing. Yeah. And the one time we filled it up with vodka.
And he still did it. But
I think there was one.
I think he spit it. Yeah, big. But we had fun.
We did have fun, and
nobody got hurt.
You brought up the after hours things.
Bob got hurt.
The finger in the fan?
No.
Oh, shit.
We won't go there. Yeah. So the after-hour parties.
We had a lot of after-hour parties.
We took comics bowling.
That's what I was going to say. We the comics loved to come to the club because they could actually be normal people, and we did normal people things. So we weren't of the Hollywood,
I think it might have been Bob Worley, but I remember it was Thanksgiving week. Yeah, and of course we were closed on Thanksgiving. I'm pretty sure he came to Mom's.
He did. We have pictures of him coming to Mom's for Thanksgiving. But bowling was a lot of fun. I mean, some of the comics that went bowling. Well, Dave Coulier went bowling with us.
All of them. I mean,
a lot of them did. We also took people in the boat on the river at night. We took a few people skiing. Paula Poundstone went out once with us on the boat.
I almost killed Dana Carvey on that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun interaction with the entertainers. Yeah, we're all working for a few hours each night, but you got all that daytime or after the show. We're all hyped up after a show. We don't go home and go to bed. We would go to Denny's.
We were partiers.
We were young.
And speaking of Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
First of all, a couple things with Jerry. And if he happens to be listening to this, I have to apologize to him because the very first flyer that I did, and we have one here in the box, I spelled his last name as impossibly bad as you could get. And I only say this because I think it's your fault because you wrote it on the note you gave me.
I'm a horrible speller.
You also spelled Gary Shandling wrong.
Yeah, I think I did. But Seinfeld was SCIEN. Yeah, it was crazy bad. And I remember when he saw the flyer, hey, Bob, that's not how I spell my name.
Those letters are not even in there.
But I'm sure that... Anyway, that's a memory. The other memories, talk about bowling, is I have this memory of it's a Sunday night. I think it was Jerry and, now this middle comic, Daily Pike.
He worked a lot with Jerry.
It was Jerry and Daily Pike. And I said, hey, Jerry, we're going bowling. You want to go? And Daly's in. Jerry says, no, I'm going back to the condo. I got to write some material. So that is so Jerry. So you didn't go bowling with us that day.
Well, I think the after-hour parties were something that were extra special. We want to make it clear to my podcast listeners that this wasn't like a Hollywood, there was naked women and drugs and binge drinking. We were Sacramento, pretty innocent people. It was bowling and
Bartles
going to Denny's. We were, or we just hang out in the bar or hang out in the condo. And, there was a bit of drugs going on at the time, but I had a rule that it couldn't be done in front of me and I didn't want it in the club. And most people respected that. There was the time John Fox chased me around the green room with a spoonful of Coke. Come on, you can do it, dude. Don't be a wussy, But those were rare. So the after hours parties were some of the most fun. But even for the club and the employees, when we had a good weekend like Jazz Festival, I would charter some buses and take everybody to. We had a houseboat for 1 week. We took everybody to the water park in Tika. We took everybody to Pour Reds a couple times. We used to have a lot of fun with not just the comics, but also our staff. I always felt we treated them well. And one of the ways that that's proven is we had very low turnover. We had some employees stayed with us 10, 15 years. It was incredible.
And we don't, we tend to only talk about the dozen or so really famous people that came out of the circuit that we were on. And we have great stories about them like we've been talking about today. But we literally worked with, I'm going to say thousands of comics.
And
I would like
all
to
of
put
them professional.
In your podcast connections and comic connections, I would like Frank Prinzi. I don't even know if he's still doing
good old Frank.
I used to love Frank.
I've been searching for Frank, and I've not been able to connect with him. I hear he's still alive and well, long out of the comedy business.
Didn't he get into music?
He got very bitter about comedy in
but he's still funny. He was very cute. And I always loved his joke about seeing the big trucks that have the 4x4, and he would spray equals 16.
Yeah,
right.
so there's
got to be something else in the hat.
Yep, we only have a few more things in the hat, so go.
Oh, but we've got extra hats.
Well, but stick around, folks. Jay Johnson. Now, Jay Johnson is one of the best ventriloquists in the business, and I would love to see his current set because I just love his stuff.
And for those of you that are in the listening audience, go to the Googler. Jay Johnson was a regular on an early TV, very popular TV show called Soap, where he and his ventriloquial figure Chuck were the co-stars of the show.
Yep.
And then we were able to meet him through Harry Anderson, and he worked our club, including Laughs in the Park.
Yes.
And a lot of things. But that's just to give a basis to the audience. So what did you want to share about Jay Johnson?
I have, and we brought up Laughs in the Park. He was our headliner, I think, at our first one. And I think we probably had 5,000 people in the audience. And I just have this memory of, here's a guy with a dummy on stage, and
Don't talk about Scott like that again.
Oh, that's right. Chuck. He's with Chuck on stage, and he is just slaying the audience. He is just killing, and they could be like quarter mile away. He's just killing, and with the dummy, it's like it kind of helps to see the dummy, but it's just like he's just absolutely destroying with these people, 5,000 people a quarter mile away. Anyway, great act, great club comic, a lot of great memories of. And you brought up a great thing when we were preparing for this.
Well, there's two things. There's one where he was very, very much interested in like the JFK, the assassination, the conspiracies and all that. And he got me really interested in it. And then, again, it always happens on Sundays. We were sitting around the bar talking, and the staff, we had decided to do this early in the week, and so we presented him with a new puppet, which consisted of Ray Lee's brown paper bag and JFK's big face stuck to it. So I'm not sure if he used it, but one of the coolest behind the scenes doing stuff with the comics kind of thing was when my mom was a huge lover of Soap and really liked Jay Johnson, and she came to the show, which she came to see Jay Johnson twice, which was the exact amount she came to see me. Seriously.
It was rare for her to go out.
Right.
And she was elderly.
No, that's right. But, and again, I love the story telling about Mom when she saw me do comedy for the first time and I came off stage and she said, "You look pretty up there."
Well, she must have had an interesting interaction with Jay.
Well, yes. So she saw the show, but then we went after the show to the the pasta place you guys own. And we sat there, and Mom was just turned towards Jay and was just asking him all these questions, and Jay was just paying her all the attention in the world, and it was just like the coolest. That was one of my favorite.
That's like my dad with Pat Paulson. When you get to the ability to bring their heroes to them, I didn't see that moment. I'm sorry I missed it. I loved your mom, and Jay was such a good guy.
I don't even remember that story, Lynn. That's wonderful.
And what a great moment for your mom.
Yes, no, it was great because she was a little starstruck, and it was, I think, it was very,
it was great. Cool. And my mom, your mom as well. Funny thing about that, when we opened up the kitchen, and she jumped in and wanted to help, and
that's when she she basically accused me of trying to kill someone because I was putting mustard on a turkey sandwich.
Oh,
and she literally,
she
said
it.
She said it so passionately. It was after I put cyanide. Like, you never put mustard on a turkey sandwich. I mean, I literally for years I thought you can't because you will die.
It's a law.
I mean, she
Yeah.
was very,
Well,
very passionate
she should
about
know.
no mustard.
yeah. Well, I think it's great that you were able to share that moment with your mom. And we want to say that, give credit, the reason we met Jay and we did some TV pilots with him and we did Laughs in the Park. I mean, he worked for us a lot, but we met him through Harry Anderson. And for those that don't remember Harry, he was the star of Night Court. He was in Cheers as a regular, hundreds of times on Letterman and The Tonight Show, and all the other talk shows. And just a terrific magician that always played that kind of circus, kind of con artist was his kind of claim to fame. Con artist.
Harry the Hat.
Yeah, Harry the Hat, con artist, magician. And we became very good friends. He invited us up to see him at Tahoe, and I got to take my dad up and spend some time with him after a show. And my dad was just over the moon about it. But my favorite memory of Harry was he liked to antique. And so during the weekend before the show, I would take him out antiquing, and he found these old punch boards, which was a 20s, 30s kind of con man thing where the stores would sell these punch boards for like a nickel or a dime a punch. And if you got the right one, you got a pack of cigarettes or something.
What do you mean? What do you punch? What do you?
There, I'll show you when we're done. I have them right up there. But anyway, he bought a couple for himself, and then I bought one, and then he bought one, a little one, and he goes, Scott, you gotta do this. You know, you get 5 punches for $1. And I said, oh, okay. And he goes, no, where's the $1? And he took the money from me. I gave him $1, and I punched it. And on my third punch, just miracles of miracles, I got the winning prize, which was, I think, $5 or something on this punch board. And I go, wow. And he goes, man, you're lucky. And started to walk away. And I go, Harry, you took my money. Where's my $5? And he grabs a pen and he autographs the back to the luckiest man I know, Harry Anderson, and gave me that. And he goes, that's worth $5. He never would give me the money back.
That's funny. That is hilarious.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
He was a funny guy. It was great. We had that one show, one of our desperation concerts we put together towards. we would every once in a while we'd come up a little short, and it's not an easy business. Let me just say that.
Well, you're running a bar, a restaurant, and a club.
And Scott, this is your entire life, and you're just trying to hold everything together, and it wasn't always easy. And I appreciate you doing everything you did to keep it all together. But it happened to be one of those times. Let's have a concert. Let's get a big. Let's get Harry will come up and he'll do it as a favor to us, and it'll help us keep things in order. So he came up and did a show. And I think that was one of the last times he worked for us because he was already on Night Court. And I know my in-laws, Cassie's, my lovely wife's parents, were very big Harry Anderson fans too. And they rode up on their bicycle. And they got to meet him and hang out after the show.
Wait,
Cool.
Who rode up on their bicycle?
Cassie's parents, Bill and Lynn, mom and dad.
Okay.
Stay with the group. So anyway, yes, that was that same experience. So it was very fun to be able to share that moment. And that was a fun night.
Yeah, and it's been said a couple times. And if you get a chance, go to the Googler, look Harry Anderson. You'll recognize him from he did TV specials. He was hawking TVs on commercials. He was on Cheers, Night Court. There's a new Night Court.
There's a new Night Court. We can drop
and they reference Harry all the time.
Well, the daughter is the new judge. Yeah, so
not his real daughter.
Not his real Melissa Rich. But anyway, yeah. So you can check that out too.
Oh man, we're just having so much fun. Hey, this is Scott, the normal host of this podcast, along with Lynn Stobner and Bob Stobner, who's acting as the host. And we've just been going through and sharing stories and going through a box of memorabilia and kind of sharing with the audience. Please bear with us. We think it's fun. We're having a blast, and we hope you're joining in. There may be one more segment, but we'll try to keep it fun for you. And thanks for putting up with this one, but I'm cutting off the show here, and we'll be back next week for the last part of this crazy time. But Anyway, we're having fun, and we hope you are too. Thanks for listening, and hope you're enjoying the podcast. If you have any questions, comments, you can email me at scottscomedystuff@gmail.com, scottscomedystuff@gmail.com. All right, we'll see you next week for the balance of this strange podcast. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Stand Up Comedy, your host and MC. For information on the show, merchandise, and our sponsors, or to send comments to Scott, visit our website at www.standupyourhostandmc.com. Look for more episodes soon and enjoy the world of stand-up comedy. Visit a comedy showroom near you.